We are live. Welcome to my video on Helstrom, Season 1, Episode 3, The One That Got Away. The episode is rated TVMA, so will this video be? There will be spoilers for everything, MCU and adjacent leading up to and including this episode, not for anything that came out after this episode first premiered. Yeah, another episode I absolutely fucking loved. Yes, so starting with general stuff, I thought this episode did a good job of really showing Gabriella as, like, I'm really accepting her as she is, part of the team. She's genuinely, yeah. Um, I don't think one of the others could have talked Zoe down there near the end of the episode. And let's see. I think an argument could be made that the episode would that the good guys, the Hellstroms, would not have succeeded if Gabriella had not been with them when they approached Aubrey Zoe. And let's see. I quite appreciated the stuff between Taker and Julie. You really felt like there was a lot of history there. And let's see. Yeah, the attack on Taker worked well. I'll talk more about that when I get to it chronologically. More or less. And that might. Oh, right. Yeah. Holy shit. Seeing. So I guess for now I'll have to call him Father. Seeing him in the flesh, the squelching, healing, torso-opening flesh was great. I don't know how much of the rest of the show is going to be like action, but that was a straight fight. That was very cool between him and Anna. I think that is all the general stuff. Yeah, it's a neat idea, and I mean, yeah, Zoe's still around by the end of this episode. I don't know how much if she's gonna keep playing a big role or if this just led us to Father. But yeah, I already mentioned, there's this drip feed of information for the mystery. Yeah, having, cause they're trying to find a serial killer, going up to the one, actual survivor of that serial killer. Very good. Yeah, like we immediately understand um, the situation, um, in as much as we should of the situation. I mean, and the trick with her having, yeah, Aubrey and Zoe, there being two, was clever. Um, yeah, I think that is yeah. So gonna try to go scene by scene here. We'll see. Yes, the father is not. Retirement doesn't agree with him. Yeah, he went back to what I'm sure he would term work, business. Went back on a business trip and killed his way through a fraternity. And the fact that the last of the frat bros was like, no, my father has money. Like he genuinely thought that would protect him. Which also, I will say, for a second there, I thought, is this Anna, who's like, this is her reaction to, like, she's working out the frustration, or well, the frustration, but the anxiety, her anxiety being triggered, and again, I use the term triggered, Nana, ironically. But yeah, that's him getting back to full strength. And I thought it worked that we only see him properly here at the end of the episode. And we see his face heal a little bit. And so we realize, oh, okay, right. So I guess before he started killing his way through that frat, he looked like Frank in Hellraiser 1. Pre. Yeah. Uh, you know, I think you know where I'm going with that. And I certainly don't want to spoil that movie for anyone who doesn't. If this shows your kind of thing, that movie might be your kind of thing. Yeah, I think, and yeah, one of the college boys gets up and walks over to him, and yeah, oh, the Hellstroms have been warned, but we have, what was it? I have a plan or something, yeah. And I think that what was the second? I think the second thing that we saw was the nightmare, which I at first I wasn't entirely sure, but I think it just dawned on me. That's her psychically realizing that her father is feeding again, isn't it? Or the fact that he fed so much in so little time, because she like vomits, and first she's like vomiting up. I'm not 100% sure what it was, but it was fucking nasty. It wasn't like food, not people, food anyway. Yeah, uh, I don't know. The yeah. Because we know there's the psychic. She's got the psychic powers and such. So yeah, fairly confident that was what we were seeing there. Oh, let's see. Where do we? Yeah, that was very very effective. Um, because yeah, I didn't realize for sure until the end of the episode that really was, their father. Um, but yeah, makes sense. And yeah, the call, and then Damon. You know, there's the um, what's the word? There's that thing. Yeah, the he's like, hey, our mother hasn't been, Victoria hasn't been this lucid in years, and this thing of Anna's like, I've said everything, well, keep me updated, like, which, I mean, listen, Damon, that's growth. Remember, you know, at the end of episode 1, she said, please tell me she's dead. So, yeah, I think the, yeah, um, yeah, we have the line, the exchange. I've said everything I have to say to her. This isn't about you, And yeah, we see later again the reiteration. I think later he says, "Not everything is about you," or something like that. And yeah, it is like by the end of the episode, Damon understands better why. Yeah, she can't get close to people because what she's witnessed was so horrifying, you know? I mean, seeing Donald Trump elected twice? No, I'm talking about the, yeah. I think, does that bring us to the so yeah, and when she groans and he's like, "Are you in pain or is that a yes?" And the I think, what's the next thing? The um I think, yeah, I believe the very next thing was them going to see Victoria. And yeah, uh that was very, very effectively done. This thing of, after all these years, she still, like, she's talking as if her offspring are still children, and then gets very upset at the idea that her abusive husband, their father, is going to be very, very angry if he sees, and it's such an accurate depiction of the long term effects of trauma, and the fact. Okay, yeah, shit. I need to qualify that slightly. Trauma in that she still, the way she talks about them, potentially doing something joyous together is the I think it is called a trauma response. Her getting upset, thinking, she's what's the term when catastrophizing isn't catastrophizing, because she's not wrong. Like, he would do something horrible if, yeah, if the scenario she described, but yeah, she trauma has taken that away from her. She can't imagine them just, yeah, like, Damon is like, do you want to build a snowman? It doesn't have to be a snowman. And yeah, all she can think about is what will happen when her abusive partner comes home. This is um, such a fucking heartbreaking depiction. It's so realistic of domestic abuse and the effect it has on survivors. So the other thing, why the reason I said I needed to qualify my other statement. Obviously, I'm aware not all trauma um, leads to, because she's also we're also seeing that Victoria essentially, um, yes, she is talking as if they are still kids, which, I appreciate that's not, yeah, that's, I really don't want to armchair diagnose. I forget if they might have said, but yeah, she has a mental health diagnosis of like, um, yeah, like her perception of reality is not quite, um, you know, actual reality. And yeah, God, you brought her. He said he'd bring her, and indeed he did. And Victoria calls Anna Button, and then there at the end, hi Button. Oh, yeah. Um, I think that, yeah. Okay, so the yeah, mother takes back over, and uh, yeah, God, the way she does such an amazing acting job. I know. I think I've said that in all the both of the first two videos I did on this show so far. But god damn, the actress playing Mother and Victoria is unbelievably talented. the smile. She turns. You didn't tell him. Oh my god, that's yeah. I think. Oh, right. Maybe I should have picked it up in an earlier episode, but by now I believe I understand. So, Mother is the demon living inside the body, and Victoria is their flesh and blood mother. I think that brings us. Right. I did also, until it was revealed for sure, I was slightly unsure. Like, is it maybe Yen? Is he the one killing all those frat brothers? Like, did he, follow the Tate trail to a bunch of other, especially with the line about my dad has money, made it feel like Yen or Anna. I think that might bring us to. But yeah, I don't think that their father kills for anything specific. Just I don't think he has any like. Yeah, I get the sense that he just found out. Oh, there's a party in this, or I guess I don't know if it was a party. I guess technically it must not have been a party because yeah, whatever. He went to a place where he knew he'd be able to find a bunch of people that he could eat, or partially consume, suck the life force out of, I guess. Right? Yeah. I mean, they did say in episode 2, demons feast on our souls. Confirming that that's still part of the lore, because obviously, I am aware that is, a lot of supernatural horror stories believe that. I forget if the Bible itself. It's been so many years since I read any of the Bible. But yeah, back in my anti-theist days, I did. Yes. Uh, anyway, yes, that brings us to the. Yeah, I think that's the idea. We found out. At the end of the by the end of episode 2, we know. Okay, yes, in this universe, demons do feast on souls, and then this episode opens with because he didn't eat their bodies. We see a pile of bodies, but he did consume their souls. I think. Does that bring us to, so yeah? I like the bit where they're having the conversation, all four of them, and there's the talk about, well, Zoe survived, maybe this is something, and you have the right, and the thing with so you believe me, you just don't believe me, and yeah. At first, Damon just doesn't believe at all. But she points out, and that also, Jesus Christ, he seemingly burned to death, and he's still fucking back. Like, holy shit, it's gonna be quite the struggle to stop him. Like, Jesus, I know other fictional characters who did. Like, that was the thing that stopped them, burning the body and scattering the ashes. But Jesus, he really must have looked like Frank. Yes, I think. Shit. What was the? God damn it! I'm afraid I forget the name. I want to say. Girl on Film is the channel name. Incredibly talented YouTuber. I believe that is the name of the channel. Who she just put out this fantastic video on horror, like her favorite horror movie costumes, and she specifically talked about Hellraiser. So that's one to watch if you've already watched that movie. I don't think that should be the first place you're exposed to those particular costumes. Um, there's also some great stuff about the Francis Ford Coppola Dracula movie. Um, I'm it's been so long since I watched it, but I remember being mixed on that movie. But one thing I did appreciate was like stuff like costumes. I did like the presentation was immaculate. Like whether we're talking costumes, effects, makeup, cinematography, editing. I'm talking myself back to listen. If I find a cheap copy, I think I will watch it and maybe even do a video on it. I think it is the best recent Dracula movie that I've personally watched. It runs laps around Dracula 2000. I think that movie was. I think there is a 3000 also, but I only watched the 2000. I'm pretty sure the 2001 was the one I watched. I'm aware that Jerry Ryan is in the one I watched before I had seen her, on Voyager. Yes, I think the but yeah, that was also yeah. Over the course of the episode, gradually Damon comes to believe her, and that's again. There's several things going on here. One thing is just the sibling thing. Um, you know, he doesn't believe that. Yeah. Um, a lot of siblings struggle to trust each other, especially if they've gone through traumatic events. There is some gender going on. She does straight up say, so you're saying, you know, I really hate that word. Okay, I'll say it for the sake of clarity. Um, I believe her exact words were, that is the nicest way I have been called hysterical. Um, Other than that, we have the obviously he doesn't want to believe it. He like how much of his like trust has been based on feeling confident that his father was dead, because that is again trauma response. A lot of abuse survivors, you know, the like there's complex emotions when the person dies, especially if it was someone who was like part of their life in some, you know, yeah. Um, for example, that sort of thing, father. But certainly, they feel a need to make sure that the person who attacked them can't get to them ever again. And he was a child when it happened, so the what's the word he there's a finality to it that yeah. um I think let's say I think yes, if he were an adult he might have chosen to move far away from where the his father lived, to try to to make sure that his father can't hurt him ever again. But as a child, what does he have? The hope that if he feels confident that his father's dead, well, that means that's it. That means he can't hurt him. Um, Sadly, there are countless stories of children who are abused, and they try to get away, or the other parent tries to get them away, and the police are, you know, especially if it's the mother trying to get them away from the abusive father, the police believe the father, and because of misogyny, patriarchy, and the kids are brought back to the abusive father. I think that Hmm. That might be all the things that are going on with the disbelief there, but yeah, and they leave for the yeah. I think it was around here that Taker shows up to talk to Julie. I really cannot overemphasize how much self control it is taking to not, like, literally just go word for word of every single exchange they have. I love seeing these two together, and I hope, for more in future episodes, because just so I love the thing about there's a list. No, takes up too much paper. And the fact that, like, the first thing he said was, he's basically saying, like, "Are you okay?" You know. And yeah, I think I'm gonna, for now, only talk about that scene so that it's not just nonstop talking about the two of them together. Yeah, it was really great seeing the Hellstroms and Gabriella in the car, and Anna, talking to Gabriella, and at one point Damon straight up has, listen, I'm sorry, is she bothering you? And Anna, without breaking eye contact, just goes, "Am I bothering you?" I am so glad to have the character of Anna Hellstrom on my screen, because just pitch perfect. Oh God. Okay. Um. Yes. She actually said, you look like you're only a nun in a porno." And I'm glad that she didn't. I wouldn't rule out. It's like they couldn't get away with you quite using the word porno, but her describing porno, like, I can just imagine, like, a sense a censor getting window, like, oh, they're gonna use the word porn. You better not. And then tearing their hair out when they realize it's so much worse hearing it out. Just, yeah. Um, Meanwhile, Gabriella's like, if we could focus, I think we need a plan. And, ultimately they don't really, Damon just drives up to the house. And it is also like, listen, Anna's not receptive to discussing a plan. Damon, give it up. Stay down, champ. It's not your night. And I think that pretty well brings us. Yeah. And so they get to the house. They start walking. I guess okay. I'll just very briefly talk about. So yeah, one of the mental patients is driven by Mother to try to kill. That was, oh my God, knocking over the Scrabble and then spelling out "kill him," and then the spinny arrow, which we've just been made of. We've just seen the patient spin it several times, which is also like, yeah, clearly he's not violent. He just sits by himself, spinning the arrow in the game room. And the arrow or turns, whatever, to point to take her. And then, we see her floating above the ground like a goddamn Jedi. and she uses her telekinesis to pull the fire alarm, which is, yeah, I mean, you can't tell just from hearing that that's, you know, demonic, because it's, it's the fire alarm. They have to react to it. And Taker can take care of himself, evidently. And I really love the point that, Julie says, I know that patient, he's never been violent before, because we gotta let's see, normalize. We gotta normalize shit. We have to spread awareness of the fact countless mental health patients are not violent. Um, it really sucks. There's sadly a number of movies and shows that's part of where a bunch of people got the idea. They come across as violent. People, like, there's so many movies and TV shows from America that, like, basically scream, "Aren't you glad these people are locked up? Can you imagine?" Let's see. I think, does that bring us to, and yeah, he also the fact that she tries to sedate him and at first is knocked away by him. Yeah, so a nun, a college professor, and an auction worker walk into a house. Stop me if you've heard this one before. And I thought they did a really great job with Aubrey Zoe put on a very convincing act. The detail about the gun, that is also sadly many, you know, yeah, many people who've suffered trauma end up arming themselves or some way preparing for, yeah. Um, and yeah, the thing, they don't even fucking decide who's gonna do most of the talking and the thing, just let me do the talking. Really? Well, I'm sorry, Anna, but you're not exactly, you don't exude warmth. No, but at least I can fake it passably. And ultimately, Gabriella really saves their ass by being the person to talk. And I like, because it is one of those things, like, as a nun, she's probably not supposed to lie, right? I feel like that's, you know, yeah, um, ideally the case. And technically, like, most of what she says about the Hellstroms, and in general, like, most of what she says to Aubrey Zoe is accurate. Like, she says, "We're here to ask you some questions about, as Aubrey Zoe puts it, the worst day in her life." And the shit, what was the other thing? The Hellstroms had a similar experience to yours, and at first she refuses the call, and then she calls them back. And it was really nicely done, because as soon as we saw the college student, like, immediately I was thinking, does that mean that, is Anna right that there's something, that Aubrey Zoe is a fake? Is a fake. Or did he not get there in time to get, like, I wasn't thinking she was a fake. I was thinking, maybe the college student talked to her and convinced her not to help them. And goddamn, the fact that, because Anna helped lure Zoe, by the end of the episode, Aubrey has done the same. And it's even the same fucking serial killer that they're luring a victim to, which is also, maybe I'm reading too much into it. I can live with that. By the end of the episode, I feel like there's a thing going on of Aubrey Zoe wanted revenge and ends up dead. Zoe wants peace and ends up at least seemingly safe. Um, yeah, I think that is not accidental. Yeah, I will grant Anna, yes, she can fake being warm, when talking to Aubrey Zoe. And yeah, the God damn, they just keep ratcheting it up of how fucked up the experience for Anna was. Before she was in the backseat of the car when father dumped a corpse, and then he brought her a trinket stolen from it. Now we find out she witnessed some of the killings and indeed helped lure at least one victim in. Like, Jesus Christ. And yeah, likely multiple. Yeah. And understandably, she flashes back to Zoe being burned. And since she witnessed it, she doesn't have to ask, "How'd you get burned? How'd you get burned?" And yeah, she asks Aubrey Zoe, "I'm sorry, may I be excused to the little demon's room? I swear, if I take any fake holy water, it'll be from the faucet. I'm not that evil." Did I mention I love that line? I think I forgot to mention it in my video on the first episode, but that is such a killer line. I'm not that evil. If I did, it bears repeating. Now, she moves through some of the house, and the thing with, we expect there to be something inside the room or maybe coming out of another room, and there is a jump scare, but it's Damon standing there saying, "What the fuck are you doing?" And the thing with, I'm not doing shrooms. And yeah, as their interactions are wont to do, it escalates into a shouting match, and then she tries to see if she gets some feeling off Aubrey Zoe. And I'm at the time I was thinking it's very understandable for Zoe. I thought it was Zoe to have that reaction to being touched, but now I'm thinking maybe Aubrey Zoe had been warned. Don't let the Helstrom woman touch you. I seriously respect that Gabriella is still able to say, if you need to talk, call me. I mean, that's being professional. That is, like, you cannot fault this woman's professionalism. Holy crap. I like to think I could keep that cool of a head when there's a gun and being asked to leave. I think that does bring us to so yes. I think yeah. Then we have Taker and Julie talking, after after the attempt on his life, and then there is he talks about like, I saw the little thing of pills. What you know what are you taking them for? And yeah, she admits lung cancer, which did I say in another video that I thought that oh god damn it. Thinking about it, obviously no, wasn't tuberculosis. It's just that the symptoms resemble tuberculosis, and so they made a reference to that, and it's also saying the demon is old enough to remember tuberculosis. Um, you know, let's see. I think tuberculosis is it that it still happens in some places, but it's less common. It's unlikely that she living in you know um, yeah uh, here in the West, that she would have tuberculosis. At the very least, considering that this is before RFK Jr. became Secretary of Health and Human Services, so he could do fucking push-ups with Pete Hegseth in just this performative machismo bullshit. Like in a stunt that really brings to mind that phrase, if you have to say you're alpha, you're not. I think, yeah, it was a really, really good scene. Um, yeah, Damon and Gabriella talking and trying to figure out, and the thing about, so what do you think Anna would do next? I think she would try to finish was, oh shit, that was a great, yeah, like, I also thought that might be, and it's a very logical conclusion. I guess the fact that that wasn't what she was doing, maybe Damon doesn't know her quite as well as he thinks he does. But it also gets them to the house, Zoe's residence. I swear I'm not going to go over every single line, but I really did love the thing about, Julie saying, I got a break for lunch. And then God, the flirty energy between them, this thing, him inviting himself, you don't have to twist my arm. Just, yeah, they're so great together. Yeah, I think that might bring us to, yeah, another really excellent bit of intercutting with the dual climax of the episode with the, yeah, Damon goes upstairs, and Gabriella goes down the stairs and finds Zoe, and yeah, it's a um, it's one of those things where they heightened a thing that is, it's not that literally every person who suffered trauma, including like burns and such, is like being hidden by the some family member or something. That's yeah, that feels more like something that is like it reminds me of the ugly laws. I think that might be what it's invoking. Yes, in case you were not aware, it used to be illegal to directly show your, for example, face if you were deemed ugly, if you were not sufficiently conventionally attractive. That used to be the law. And, you know, today you have a bunch of conservative talking heads talking about how frustrated they are whenever they see a conventionally unattractive person. I don't know. I just feel like if that was part of history, and not even like ancient fucking history, um, arguably greasy history, but certainly recent history. That's not meant to imply anything about that movie. I just thought of the reference, whatever. But the yeah, I wouldn't be going around talking about like, oh, can you believe all these conventionally unattractive people getting to show their face in public, having their picture taken, and there's video of them, like. Well, but the yeah, and it is also, it's a trope. There are a number of stories, some of them excellent, about someone being hidden in out of sight, um, because of you know some um, aspect of some visual trait that is not conventionally attractive. But yeah, the great tension there, because the gasoline is already on the floor before Gabriella can do anything, and great, close up of that. And the thing with Zoe, yes, I'm Zoe. That was a great reveal, because we just saw Anna see, you know, Aubrey Zoe in the club. Uh, I think I'll finish off the Zoe section before I talk Anna. Yeah, um, Gabriella managed to talk her down. Really, really impressive, and ultimately she throws the yeah, um, she throws the Zippo, which I don't think was very heavy, but somewhat ironically, Zoe is now lighter, and yeah, Damon, gets down there and uses his maybe, I guess it's the pyrokinesis, maybe that and the telekinesis to move the fire, basically, to make sure they can get out of there safely. Very, very nicely done on that. And yeah, I think that does leave. Yeah, and the thing about your sister's not safe. Oh, is it the college student? No, he said there'd be someone else there, someone strong enough to finish the job. Fuck. Yeah, and Anna going, you know, yeah, just looking for someone to take her frustration out on, and I think we all know that if someone looking like Anna walked through a dance club, putting her hand on basically everyone that she passes, and then removing the hand and walking away, like the worst she would get from women, you don't have to remove the hand, come back. I acknowledge she might get significantly worse from the men. She can handle herself, as we do see. And I'm not talking about Steve. But yeah, just looking for someone, and she finds him, finds a killer, and it sounds to him like a euphemism, and we realize she's not talking about what he thinks she's talking about. Want to leave for an alley where we can do dark things. And then to seal the deal, she leans in very close and right into his ear whispers, "I know what was said at the very end of Lost in Translation. If you come with me, I'll tell you." And I think, yeah, and then spots Aubrey Zoe, so starts to move, and yeah, dude's not taking no for an answer. I don't hate that the guy in this episode seemed to not take no for an answer is also the one who is like an actual killer. Like, listen, I'm not saying every man who can't take no for an answer is, but like it's the same path, like you maybe haven't taken as many steps down that path as an actual killer, but you know, yeah, it's um yeah, I think that yeah, I also thought they did a good job. Like there's some of the filming, like the cinematographer definitely does wish to draw some measure of attention to Anna's legs. And it's one of those things where it could easily feel gratuitous, but really, like, it's conveying, like, yeah, like I mentioned, yeah, people in the club, a woman like that walking right up to them, touching them directly. A lot of people would be very receptive to it. Um, and yeah, love the. I mean, I didn't need the confirmation, but she is dealing with a killer. I really appreciate how many killers have been killed by demon spawn or demon possessed in just 3 episodes. There's the Tate brothers. No, the other Tate brothers, and this guy. Just yeah, um, yeah, three in as many episodes. That's yeah. I wouldn't hate if that just kept being like a tradition. If every episode has a man who's killed a non-zero number of women be killed by, yeah. Um, but yeah, it was she. Yeah, she does have the ability to like kill, induce death. I'm thinking she stopped his heart and or other major organ. That would explain um, him not like trying to run or fight. The you dying. The fact that he collapses, suggests something along those lines. Um, and let's see. Yeah, I guess that was what I wanted to say. And I did also feel like, obviously people are going to realize, they listen, they are not aware there's murder on the dance floor, but they see a guy collapsing like that. I can buy that they either didn't notice Anna walking away or they maybe accept that, I mean, if they think she's going to try to get a doctor or that she's too traumatized to help, because they are trying to help, and it's, you don't need everyone around to help. You just need to find a doctor. Um, you know, like it'd be one thing if, like, let's say that there was one other person there, and that person was trying to convince her to carry him to a doctor, and she just walked off. He might be like, "What are you doing? Come back so we can carry you." Just the example that popped into my head from watching something else recently. Anyway, I think does that very well bring us to the yeah. So she follows Aubrey Zoe, and I can I'm so glad that I'm watching the episodes this frequently. I'm last time I promised the exact day. I ended up recording something else on that day. I'll just say early next week will be the next episode. But the yeah, I can hardly wait to see more of the father Helstrom. But yeah, she goes there, and I fucking love the, like, you can't quite tell exactly where Aubrey Zoe is, but she's close enough that it can be heard, and she says, "You lured that monster right to my sister." And, I think, does she even say, "And now I've lured you here," or something like that? That was also when the real Zoe, who please stood up, said, "You brought that woman into my house. She still has the same eyes," And I also, I can imagine they will have a conversation about that now that Damon knows it went quite that far, because like this is something that needs to be, for them to talk about, um, and yeah, the let's see, what was the thing I wanted to mention? Right, I like the thing, Gabriella thing. You never talked about it, and Damon's like, "You met Anna," like, and he, admits, like, "I was kind of relieved I was no Dr. Phil." That's a really low bar to set for yourself. Yeah, but that's the thing, these complex emotions that he was thinking, he was feeling relief about, because like he knows that she needed to talk to someone, and he feels like it should be him, but on some level, yeah, he's like, "I'm gonna fuck it up worse," and that sadly is like a lot of men don't feel comfortable talking to their loved ones about things that are hard. um, get your mind out of the gutter, that's not what I'm talking about, because they're scared that they'll just make things worse. And listen, I appreciate sometimes we can really fuck up and say the exact wrong thing, but like making the effort means so much to the women in our lives, and other men as well. Uh, yeah, Father Helstrom makes himself, you know, known, makes his presence known, calls her Button. I'm guessing Button Nose is what it's short for, or something like that. Or maybe she once had, maybe her first word was Button or something. But that also feels, it's such a lived in thing. Like, it would be so, like, um, if he just called her by her name, for example, it wouldn't have the same effect. But he's still talking to her like she hasn't aged at all since you know, the last time they saw each other, when he burnt and seemingly died. Which, like, holy shit, yeah. Uh, so the God, that is, so the yeah, 20 fucking years, Jesus Christ. And obviously part of it, one thing that's going on there is that a lot of children, yeah, a lot of parents never really see their offspring as adults, even when they're adults. But also, like, in some ways, she has really struggled to, I mean, she was struggling back then too, but in some ways, she's never really recovered from that. she still feels the way she did back then. So it's underlining for the audience. I don't think he's purposely. I'm not saying he's above it, but I don't think he's purposefully underlining to her that it still hurts her. But yeah, the God, it underlines to the audience that in some ways she's not really recovered from the experiences of her childhood at his hands. I think, yeah, the fight. I guess I already mentioned, but it was really cool. I wasn't sure if I was to expect that at all from the show, and I'm perfectly fine with it not having more. If there is more, I hope it doesn't like take over. I really want this to remain a horror show. Um, Horror picture show. I think that might just about. And I also appreciated the way that they so yeah, basically she's like punching and he's using his powers. It felt like a good way of you know they don't fight the exact same way, and it's also this thing of like as soon as she realizes that she really is face to face with him, there's no hug. Like she does briefly say, "Father, it's you," which he then you know replays on the computer over and over. Um, but the yeah, I and yeah, once he starts slamming her against the ceiling, into the ground, into the other, throws her away. Anna has gotten ragdolled 2 episodes in a row now, specifically by her demonic parents. Like, she's this is going to really it's becoming a habit. Um, and yeah, uh, he kills Aubrey Zoe, and we have that old oldie but a goodie. Um, if you work with the devil, you might think he's going to reward you, but really he's going to, you know, like take from you everything. I think I might just about. Uh, yeah, and she manages to get away, but only by letting herself fall off the. Yeah, that was really really cool. Um, and yeah, we see like it seems like maybe at least one broken rib or something because she touches that part, which yeah, that makes sense from being thrown around like that. And I will say I did realize the moment that I saw there was a car there and it like stops. Okay, that's got to be them. Although I guess before it stopped, I was a little worried. I was thinking, is this the college kid maybe? But as soon as it stopped, but it was revealed almost immediately after, and maybe it's more underlining her, like, what's it called? Trust issues that she doesn't realize as quickly that that it's them. But yeah, holy shit. I can hardly wait. And I felt like this was a good. It's one of those things. So there's 10 episodes total. So far, at least, it's not impossible for them to change. But so far, this has been like one of the main story points from episode 1. I can imagine it will remain that way, so they do have to be careful about what exactly they do with, Father Helstrom. but it is good to have him, meet at least one of the kids this soon. I mean, at the end of the day, this is like we're almost a third of the way through the season. Yeah, I felt like it made sense to do it like this. And yeah, there was none of Yin, and in this episode, I mean, and yeah, I guess it is. There's no more with the demon. I guess it really is gone as of because he exorcised it, so it couldn't jump into another person. Although the father was had been bitten. Yeah, but yeah. Oh, this episode was also slightly shorter than the other ones, which I thought worked. It was a nice, tight story, for the episode. Yeah, I think that is everything. Oh, right, shit. Okay. So the thing about listen, we've worked hard to keep the Hellstroms apart all this time. If certain people realize that the Helstrom sibling, the Helstrom, there's a Helstrom family reunion. There's hell to pay. That was a really, really cool. Holy shit! Which, yeah, I mean, all four of them are there. I don't know if it needs to be all four. It might be enough with just the two siblings because they are extremely powerful, even apart, and it's even worse when they're. Yeah, I think that might seriously respect Gabriella trying to keep like she can hear the Hellstrom like shouting at each other upstairs, and she's like, "Okay," and she's still like talking to Aubrey Zoe like very very professional, very keeping a cool head. I think, and that was also like the fact that she did not betray, because I do feel like probably did bother her as it was meant to when Anna, the suggestion of her doing porn, I would be shocked if Gabriella was not at all offended by that. You know, pretty sure none is about as far away from porn star as one can get as far as feeling comfortable around sexuality. Um, I don't think there's anything like inherently wrong with either sex work or you know nun business. Um, if you want to get into that habit, that's just think before you commit your life to something like that. That's all I would say. Which actually reminds me of there's a I've only recently discovered his channel, but Justice Korsgaard, I guess. Well, I mean, I'm Scandinavian myself, so I would say Korsgaard. But y'all probably pronounce it Korsgaard. I think it was called something along the my wrists are too bad to check right now, but I believe it was called something along the lines of "Conservative Cartoons Confuse Me." Fantastic video, and that he goes into the response to for example trad wifery. So yeah, thought it was apropos. I think that pretty well covers it. Yeah, really looking forward to another episode. Will be at least that certainly the next 2 days will be other media uh, videos. Yeah. I did really appreciate that at the very start of the episode when well, one of the first scenes when Damon calls Anna on the phone, and like we realize not very long after he's thinking of it as like he thought it was a good thing, but he does still, because it's like for effect, I guess. That was funny, but yeah, his exact words are, "What the hell did you do?" And I just want there to be an outtake where she goes, "What have you heard? Be specific. I don't want to incriminate myself here."